Hello, thank you for joining with me. Workbook for Students, A Course in Miracles, Lesson 133, Part 1 of the workbook. I will not value what is valueless. Sometimes in teaching, there is a benefit, particularly after you have gone through what seems theoretical and quite remote from what the student has already learned, to bring him back to practical concerns. This we will do today. We will not speak of lofty, world-encompassing ideas, but dwell instead on benefits to you. This probably refers to mainly the previous lesson, which, with its repeated statement that there is no world. Sometimes in teaching there is benefit, particularly after you have gone through what seems theoretical and quite remote from what the student has already learned, to bring him back to practical concerns. This we will do today. We will not speak of lofty, world-encompassing ideas, but dwell instead on benefits to you. You do not ask too much of life, but far too little. When you let your mind be drawn into bodily concerns, to things you buy, to eminence as valued by the world, you ask for sorrow, not for happiness. This course does not attempt to take you from take from you the little that you have. It does not try to substitute utopian ideas for satisfactions that the world contains. There are no satisfactions in the world. Today we list the real criteria by which to test all things you think you want. Unless they meet these sound requirements, they are not worth desiring at all, for they can but replace what offers more. The laws which govern your choice you cannot make, no more than you can make alternatives from which to choose. The choosing you can do, indeed you must, and it is wise to learn the laws you set in motion when you chose, and what alternatives you choose between. When you choose. We have already stressed there are but two, however many there appear to be. 219. Workbook 130. It is impossible to see two worlds which have no overlap of any kind. Seek for the one, and the other disappears, but one remains. This is the range of choice beyond which your decision cannot go. The real and the unreal are all there is to choose between, and nothing more than these. The range is set, and this you cannot change. It would be most ungenerous to you to let alternatives be limitless, and thus delay your final choice until you had considered all of them in time, and not been brought so clearly to the place where there is but one choice which must be made. Another kindly and related law is that there is no compromise in what your choice must bring. It cannot give you just a little, for there is no in-between. Each choice you make brings everything to you or nothing. Therefore, if you learn the tests by which you can distinguish everything from nothing, you will make the better choice. 220. The lesson just described two laws you set in motion when you choose, paragraph 3. The first law is that there are only two alternatives to choose from. The second law is that one of these brings everything and the other brings nothing. Now the lesson is going to teach us the 4 tests by which we can tell whether a particular choice is a choice for everything or for nothing. First, if you choose a thing that will not last forever, what you choose is valueless, so it must last forever. A temporary value is without all value. Time can never take away a value that is real. What fades and dies was never there, and makes no offering to him who chooses it. He is deceived by nothing in a form he thinks he likes. Next, if you choose to take a thing away from someone else, you will have nothing left. This is because when you deny his right to everything, you have denied your own. You therefore will not recognize the things you really have, denying they are there. Who seeks to take away has been deceived by the belief that loss can offer gain. Yet loss must offer loss and nothing more. Your next consideration is the one on which the others rest. Why is the choice you make of value to you? What attracts your mind to it? What purpose does it serve? The essence of this test seems to be this. Is the reason you value this an ego-based reason? Is what attracts your mind to this something that is of the ego? Does this serve a purpose for you that is of the ego? The reason you may so easily be deceived about these questions is that the ego tries to protect its goal from being seen. It puts a shining halo over them so that you will not see their corruption. Here is the easiest of all to be deceived, for what the ego wants it fails to recognize. It does not even tell the truth as it perceives it, for it needs to keep the halo for which it uses to protect its goals from tarnish and from rust, that you may see how innocent it is. Yet is its camouflage a thin veneer which could deceive but those who are content to be deceived. Its goals are obvious to anyone who cares to look for them. Here is deception doubled, for the one who is deceived will not perceive that he has merely failed to gain. Here is deception doubled, because when you choose something for ego reasons, you fall into two levels of deception. On the surface level, you believe you made a completely innocent choice, though the choice was actually corrupt. On a deeper level, however, you believe that you wickedly gained at someone else's expense and thus truly sinned, so that the ego's corruption is now your own. This second level is just as much of a deception as the first, for the truth is that you have merely failed to gain, and so have made a simple mistake, which means you are still innocent. So I'm going to repeat that. Here is deception doubled, for the one who is deceived will not perceive that he has merely failed to gain. He will believe that he has served the ego's hidden goals, and though he tries to keep its halo clear within his vision, yet must he perceive its tarnished edges and its rusted core. His ineffectual mistakes appear as sins to him because he looks upon the tarnish as his own, the rust as a sign of deep unworthiness within himself. He who would still preserve the ego's goals and serve them as his own makes no mistakes according to the dictates of his guide. This guidance teaches it is error to believe that sins are but mistakes, for who would suffer for his sins if this were so? And so we come to the criterion for choice, which is the hardest to believe because its obviousness is overlaid with many levels of obscurity. If you feel any guilt about your choice, you have allowed the ego's goals to come between the real alternatives, and thus you do not realize there are but two. 223. Feeling guilty about your choice is the emotional evidence that you made your choice for ego reasons and thus have fallen into the second level of deception. How many of you can relate to this? I know I can. The belief that you truly sinned by gaining at someone else's expense. This, however, cannot be true. Thank you, God. You were told at the start that there are only two alternatives, and one brings everything and the other nothing. Now you believe you have done the impossible and chosen a third alternative, sinful gain, gain that comes at the cost of guilt. This blinds you to the fact that you actually chose the second alternative, nothing. Rather than sinfully gaining, you merely failed to gain anything at all. Because this fourth test is implicitly connected to the third and the third test overtly connected to the first two, your next consideration is the one on which the others rest. The four tests seem to be merely different aspects of a single scenario. In this scenario, you feel guilty because you tried to serve the ego's purposes by taking from someone else something of temporary value. Great breakdown there. And the alternative you think you choose seems fearful and too dangerous to be the nothingness it actually is. All things are valuable or valueless, worthy or not of being sought at all, entirely desirable or not worth the slightest effort to obtain. Choosing is simple just because of this. Complexity is nothing but a screen of smoke which hides the very simple fact that no decision can be difficult. What is the gain to you in learning this? It is far more than merely letting you make choices easily and without pain. Heaven itself is reached by empty hands and open minds, which come with nothing to find everything and claim it as their own. We will attempt to reach this state today, with self-deception laid aside and with an honest willingness to value but the truly valuable and the real. Our 2 extended practice periods of 15 minutes will begin with this. I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek, for only that do I desire to find. And then receive what waits for everyone who reaches unencumbered to the gate of heaven, which swings open as he comes. Should you begin to let yourself collect some needless burdens, or believe you see difficult decisions facing you, be quick to answer with this simple thought. I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. I love this lesson. I feel that way about every lesson when I read it. Robert Perry and Alan Watson, I will not value what is valueless. The purpose of this lesson is to empty our hands of all the things we value in this world and to reach a state of heaven. There is only love or fear. All my problems are separateness. I will not value what is valueless. So we 2 times for 15 minutes. I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek, for only that do I desire to find. Then try to find the valuable within yourself. Hold in mind an honest willingness to not deceive yourself about what is valuable. And I'll be doing a separate meditation. Refuse to fool yourself into thinking that the things of this world can bring you real, lasting happiness. Try instead to value only the eternal in your brothers and in yourself. Empty your hands of the treasures of this world, open your mind, and let go of its usual attachments. In this empty, open state, come before the gate of heaven within you, and it will swing open, offering you the gift of everything. Whenever you feel burdened or feel confronted with a difficult decision, respond immediately by repeating, I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. This will remind you that no decision can be difficult because you choose between the infinitely valuable and the totally worthless. Commentary. The laws that govern choice are two. There are only two alternatives, everything or nothing. There is no compromise, there is no in-between. The criteria for judging what is worth desiring are: will it last forever? If not, it is nothing. Is it a choice in which no one loses? If not, you are left with nothing. Is the purpose free of the ego's goals? If not, there is compromise. Is there a choice free of all guilt? If not, the real alternatives have been obscured. These are stringent rules. They are clear but not easily learned. How can we know whether or not the ego's goals are intruding, for instance? Here it is the easiest of all to be deceived. The ego masquerades in innocence. Yet the lesson asserts that the ego's camouflage is only a thin veneer which could deceive but those who are content to be deceived. Its goals are obvious to anyone who cares to look for them. We need only be willing to look, and the ego detector is quite simple: guilt. If you feel any guilt about your choice, you have allowed the ego's goals to come between the real alternatives. If I apply these criteria for choice to the decisions in my life will be constantly revolutionized. The first criterion alone rules out absolutely every goal involving anything material. Amen. Including bodies and ordinary human relationships. Will it last forever? What lasts forever in this world? Only love. And not all that we call love lasts forever. We've all demonstrated that for ourselves in all likelihood, or seen it all around us. The assertion of the Course, by the way, is that if it doesn't last, it wasn't love to begin with. Where disillusionment is possible, there was not love, but hate, for hate is an illusion, and what can change was never love. But there is a love not of this world, a light we cannot find in the world, but which we can give to the world. As Stephen Levine has written, I love Stephen Levine, we cannot own love, but we can be owned by it, and that is what is being said here. We may think that most of our choices are not monumental as all this, but they are all this very choice. In every moment we are choosing to give ourselves to love, to be taken over by it and used by it, or we are choosing to withhold ourselves from it in fear. To choose love is the only guiltless choice. It isn't complex. Complexity is nothing but a screen of smoke which hides the very simple fact that no decision can be difficult. It is the decision, let me be love in this situation and nothing else. No, we don't know how to do that. That is why we must come with empty hands and open minds, holding on to nothing, unencumbered by any lesser values, and with no preconceptions about what being love means. Open minds, in the words of a poem by the Christian poetess Amy Carmichael. Love through me, love of God, make me like thy clear air. Okay. In the words of a poem by the Christian poetess Amy Carmichael. Love through me, love of God, make me like thy clear air, through which unhindered colors pass as though it were not there.